Have you ever wondered how to best gain muscle? And I'm not talking about how do you become a bodybuilder, look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but we know that muscle is so important as we get older. It's one of the things that's going to give us the longevity, help us feel better. But there's so many different opinions on it, how you should train, how you should eat, that sort of thing. Well, in today's episode, I'm going to take you back 10 years ago, and I'm going to tell you what I wish someone had sat me down and told me when I first started training. Now, I've been training for about 16 years now, probably actually closer to 20. I started training when I was 16, and I've been very, very consistent with it. I probably trained 4 times a week for about 2 decades. And it's really only the last 5 years that I've started seeing actual good results. So I'm going to share with you some of the key lessons that I've taken away from this, how you can gain muscle even in your 40s and 50s and beyond. And then some of the things you need to be thinking about, because I guarantee you it's not what you see in the magazines and the different Instagram and TikTok videos. So you're listening to the Low Carb Hustle, home of your $1,000,000 body method, where we help you get leaner and live longer. My name's Nate Palmer. I've been a coach since 2008, and I've helped over 1,200 people level up their health and fitness. My mission is simple: to show you how to easily drop fat and gain muscle so you can feel lean, strong, and energetic. So if you're ready to learn the 5 lessons I wish someone had sat me down and forced me to listen to when I was 16, started training, then stick around. Let's do this. Okay, so we know that muscle building is important, right? It's one of those things that we hear about on like Huberman Lab and some of these other podcasts, and everyone is talking about this now, how muscle is one of the most important organs we have, and how having more muscle going into our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond is one of the things that is going to give us that longevity, that youthfulness. It's almost the fountain of life, weight training and building muscle. But if you do it wrong, you can just be spinning your wheels, or worse, getting injured. And there's nothing worse than trying to get in shape and get healthy and taking an injury. So I want to give you some of my best tips to prevent injury, improve progress, and honestly save you some time. Not just time of like having to do all the research and figure this stuff out on your own, but also time in the gym. Because what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to just kind of give you a little secret right now, is that it probably doesn't take as much time as you think it does to build muscle. Okay. So first, the bad news is that if you are trying to get lean, if you are just trying to cut fat as fast as possible, it doesn't matter what kind of exercise you do. Most trainers won't tell you this. Most people are not going to tell you that information. But if you want to dance, if you want to do Zumba, if you want to do power yoga, play pickleball, do jujitsu, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. You probably need to have some sort of movement practice. But even if it's just something as simple as walking, then you're gonna see results, because most of those pieces of progress are made through nutrition. If your nutrition is not on point, you are not going to get lean no matter how hard you work out, unless you're like one of the freaks at my jiu-jitsu gym who basically trains, 30 hours a week and eats whatever he wants to. So yeah, there's levels to this stuff. Professional athletes are training 4, 5, 6 hours a day. They can get away with some of these things. You're a parent, you work 50 hours a week. You probably have to be a little bit more cognizant of your nutrition. So I'm going to share you a couple personal insights, things that I did wrong, and make sure that you have more realistic expectations. So when I first started off, I did everything wrong, or technically I did everything right. I followed a lot of the stuff that were in the magazines. So if I had been doing the same things that the guys in the magazines were doing, i.e. steroids, I would have probably gotten fine results. But I didn't. And a lot of those magazine articles and a lot of the things you see with these guys who are just super jacked talking about muscle building and stuff like that, they're not for us. They're not for normal people who are busy, who are not eating 100%, who are not living in the gym, doing cardio 6 days per week. They're for that 1% who really wants to stand on stage in a sparkly thong and look massive. And that's not me. That's probably not you. If you're listening to this, if you are, you probably dropped off a while ago. So we'll talk a little bit about effective training methods and how you can make them work for yourselves. So first lesson is, I would go back in time and I would tell myself, number one, you do not have to be massive to look great. You don't have to be massive to look great. I thought that girls wanted guys who had gigantic, hulky, super muscles, and that was the only way that I was going to ever attract females' attention. But in reality, when you go to the gym and you bench 3 plates and you look jacked and stuff like that, the only people who are talking to you about it are other dudes. Bro, looking massive. Dude, you're so swole. What's up, big man? It's only guys talking to you about it. And well, that's kind of fun and nice to get those accolades. It's not the ladies. So if you're trying to work out so that ladies will like you, tone it down a little bit. Secondly, a lot of times guys think that they need to have like big legs, big glutes, big back, all these things to really look good. But in reality, if you look at what the best trainers in the world are doing for Hollywood actors who need to get in sick shape for a movie to look like a superhero or whatever, they tend to focus on specific muscle groups and just building those up. And if I could have gone back in time, I got to save myself so many years of stress and struggle and trying to squat when my frame doesn't really like squatting. And how do I build up to a 300-pound squat? And nobody cares. Nobody gives a crap if you can squat 300 pounds. There's no prizes for being medium strong, right? You can squat 1,000 pounds. People are going to clap for you. You can squat 350 pounds. No one cares, right? So if you want to do it, great, do it for yourself, but no one else is going to give you those accolades. So for men, the muscle groups that I recommend focusing on to have a really great physique is number one, lats. If you can see your lats, they're wide enough, you can see them from the front of your body, you are already doing a great job giving yourself a wide V-shaped physique, which I think is very eye-catching. And if you look at like Renaissance sculptors and some of the best bodybuilders in the world, they all have a similar waist to shoulder ratio. So we're looking at for like that golden ratio there. So building out your lats so you can see them from the front is great. So making sure that you're doing an exercise that supports building your lats. And I've had a couple that I think are really, really critical and has helped me a lot in the last 5 years. Guys also going to be training their triceps. Again, if you can see the back of your arms from the front, you are so far ahead of the curve. That's what we're looking for. A lot of guys think you need to be training chest and biceps. When I say a lot of guys, I mean 22-year-old Nate, I would train chest and biceps like 3 times a week. So stupid. But you really can't build those muscles up in a way that is going to define your physique. So you want to focus on the lats, you want to focus on the triceps, and you want to focus on the side delts, the lateral deltoids. Again, that's just going to give you that V-shaped physique. And then for a lot of guys, if you have a little bigger traps, that is going to round that out and give you kind of a powerful look. So notice that we didn't talk about, lunges or hip thrusts or squats or anything that's going to build up the glutes or the legs. I think that the natural lifters can only gain a certain amount of muscle. And so if you put all of that into your legs, your upper body is going to look smaller and weaker as a comparison. If you're taking some extra special supplements, it doesn't matter as much. But for natural lifters, focusing in on the 3 or 4 muscle groups that are going to make the biggest difference is going to give you the results that you're looking for. Number 2 is you want to make sure that, let's see. Well, I wrote some notes for this one, that you're giving your muscle a good reason to grow. If your muscle only grows if you give it a good reason. I see a ton of dudes at the gym who are bench pressing the same weight that they did last year and the year before that and the year before that. And they're benching, 135, 185 pounds for 3 sets of 10 reps. But your muscle is only going to grow is if you give it a good reason to do that. And the reason that your muscle grows is because it thinks you might die. Your body loves homeostasis. It wants to stay the same. So unless you can give yourself a reason to actually change your physical shape by giving yourself like almost a near-death experience, quote unquote, you're not going to change. So that's kind of the bad news, but also the good news. So the thing I think about this is that you should be failing 5 times per workout. You should be failing 5 times per workout. If you're pushing yourself to failure 5 times per workout, you are on the right track. Usually this takes place on the last rep of the last set of any given exercise. That's how you force growth. Like if your body feels like, oh man, he's going to drop this weight on my face, I need to be stronger to stay alive. It goes back to our like Paleolithic times when, pulling yourself out of a tree to save yourself from a bear is going to keep you alive. You're going to be able to build more muscle and by proxy drop more non-functional tissue, which is fat, to keep yourself alive. So the stronger you get at any particular exercise, the better chance you have of building muscle and the better chance you have of dropping fat. So that's kind of a cool thing. So make sure that you're also not failing on exercises that are going to hurt you. Think about deadlifts, about squats, some of those big barbell lifts. Do the ones that are going to be the safest exercises. Like think about a dumbbell row. You can't pull that weight all the way up. You're failing. You just drop it down. No harm, no foul. Bicep curls, triceps, a lot of those exercises, shoulder raises, stuff that's not going to hurt you if you can't get that final rep. Right. Number 3 is that you need carbs and protein at the right times to grow. A lot of people who are lifting and trying to build muscle also have a fat loss goal. And I think that the quote, if the guy who chases 2 rabbits misses both, and I don't think that's actually how the quote goes, but you get the idea. If you chase 2 rabbits, you catch neither. So if you're trying to put on as much size as possible and get as lean as possible, you're going to stagnate. You're going to stall out. So give yourself a season for each thing, because maybe like the nutrition that's required to build muscle is a little different from the nutrition that's required to burn a lot of fat. But that being said, even if you are in a fat loss phase, putting your proteins and carbs around your workouts is the best way to give your muscle the fuel they need to grow. For me, I like to do a scoop of like Greek yogurt with a scoop of the whey to give myself about 40 grams of protein. And then I'll do some blueberries about an hour before the workout. I like it. It's light. It's nice. It's great in the summer. And it also is fast digesting. Then I'll just generally do like a protein shake with a banana, or, on the harder lifting days, I'll do some oats after the workout. When I was gaining as much size as possible, I was doing this crazy like orange juice, 2 scoops of oats, 1 banana, 2 scoops of protein, just crazy shake. And I throw some creatine in there as well. I usually like that at the post-workout window. Got a harder workout, that's a good time to add more carbs in. But that pre and post-workout window is when your body's going to be able to utilize those more effectively. Number 4, I would go back in time and I would slap myself in the mouth with 2 fingers and say, your recovery has got to match or exceed the stresses you're putting on yourself. Okay. This is why dudes in their 20s don't gain muscle, and then we just never get better at it. So dudes in their 20s like to sleep 5 hours a night, train 6 days per week, and then make up for the lack of sleep by having 800 milligrams of caffeine. That's not going to work. It's not going to ever work out. Then you become a parent with a full-time job, and now your stress levels are even higher, and you keep trying to do the workout that quote unquote worked for you in high school or college. And that's just a recipe for beating yourself up and probably getting injured. So keep this in mind. It's going to save you years of headache. Here's the crazy thing is I saw the best gains of my life when I got super busy after my second kid was born. I just didn't have time to work out 5-6 days a week, which is kind of what the trajectory I was on. I had a home gym, was working out all the time. It was during COVID, just nothing else to do. And then all of a sudden my time just evaporated. So I got about 3 days per week, about 45 minutes to work out, and usually I had to do that in the morning. And I started gaining more muscle just magically. So this is why I always try to push people to do weight training maybe 3 or 4 days per week maximum. I don't think a 5-day split is the best for anyone who's natural, who's not taking those extra special supplements. So as we get older, we need more time to recover. So if your recovery is more than your stress, you're going to have such a better time gaining size, gaining muscle. If not, it becomes very, very difficult, especially 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. Okay. So you have to have that recovery in place. So yeah, drop your stress levels down, make sure the workouts you're doing are more effective, but then also doing things like the cold plunges and the massages and maybe some yoga sessions, some stretching, some more like things that where you're actually lowering your stress levels meaningfully throughout the day. And then number 5, again, this is probably less of a 2-finger slap to the mouth and more of just like a full slap to the face, because this is one thing that I screwed up for years. And I would tell myself, hey, find a program and follow it for 6 months. I used to program help all the time. I was always onto the next shiny object. I was trying all the different things. German volume training, Bulgarian method. It sounds like I was really into like the Eastern Bloc, but also those guys were massive coming out of some of like the Eastern Bloc training camps. The 5-3-1, boring but big, strong lifts, CrossFit, Smolov, bro splits. I tried all the different things, and none of them worked. Or rather, all of them work, but you have to do them long enough. The issue is that first 2 to 3 weeks of a program, you get this what's called neurological adaptation. So think about like learning to swing a golf club for the first time. You suck at it because you have no muscle memory. It's nothing that you've done before. It's just very weird and janky. But over time, you get smoother and smoother as your body adapts. Well, that's what happens when you're lifting, except for it's not just one golf swing. You're learning like 30 exercises. So go easy on yourself. So you get stronger early because you create larger neural pathways for that specific exercise. So if you change exercises after 2 weeks, or like a lot of people do, a lot of personal trainers do with their clients, every single workout, they're doing different exercises, you really don't see a lot of physical progress, because physical adaptation happens after the neurological adaptation. That happens in like weeks 3 and beyond, So a lot of times people will, get good results from a program and then stop doing it before they've gone through and squeezed all the results out of a specific exercise they can before they switch an exercise. So you can't really shortcut this process. I learned that the hard way. It becomes a real headache when you're trying to come up with new exercises all the time without having ever gotten to your peak in any specific exercise. So those are my 5 lessons that I would really go back in time and harp on to myself or to anyone else who is starting at their weightlifting journey, who is trying to build some muscle, who is coming back after a time off, or just to the guy who's like, man, this program I did in college got me in great shape. Don't do the program you did in college. You are not the same person that you were in college. So make sure that you are adapting with your lifestyle, with the demands on your time, the demands on your stress, and you are giving yourself the best chance to succeed. And also, shameless plug, if you want someone to design a workout program for you so you don't have to think about this and hold you accountable to hitting those goals, send me a message on Instagram at _$1,000,000body. Just let me know, and I can explain to you with a little bit of what we do in the $1,000,000 body method and how we can make that work for you, or if that's even a good fit. But I think that if you just have something you can do, you do it consistently, you don't get injured, and you can turn your workout time into kind of a boring exercise, but positive mental health piece of your life, you're going to see better and better results for the rest of your life. That's all from me today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And if I can help you out in any capacity, I would love to do so. I will talk to you very soon.